Welcome back to the Every Single Oasis Single series on the Girls Like Rock 2 podcast. My name is Sarah. This is my sister, Katie.
Hello.
This year on the podcast, we want to keep the Oasis vibes alive. We are going through Every Single Oasis Single, if that wasn't clear from the series title.
ESOS.
That's right, ESOS. We are going in chronological order. So we've done Definitely Maybe, Morning Glory, and Be Here Now.
And whatever.
And we did do whatever, yes. So we are on to a completely new phase for the band.
Yeah.
And
new
for the
millennium,
world,
new
too.
phase.
That's right. So we are into Standing on the Shoulder of Giants and the first single from the new millennium for Oasis.
Yeah.
Katie, what is it?
Sarah, the first single from the new millennium for Oasis was Go Let It Out.
Go Let It Out.
Let's cheers.
Let's cheers to a new
era, new millennium. We all survived.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Oasis.
Yeah, when the clock struck 12
Nice.
in the year 2000, the world did not self-destruct.
Well,
as some of us thought.
Yeah, exactly. And like all of our computers were going to implode or something, right?
Yeah.
We were quite young in 2000, but I do remember clearly all of that. The world was going to end.
Yeah.
But it didn't. And here we are. And Oasis survived a lot of changes. So I was thinking of these are big changes for Oasis, right? With Standing on the Shoulder of Giants and Go Let It Out. And I think I read this somewhere. I've been reading so much on Oasis 2.0.
Yeah.
And it's not 2.0 can mean like better.
It's a better version, yeah.
It's not better. I mean, we all love the 90s Oasis.
Oh, yeah.
But very different.
Yeah.
A different vibe musically and just how they present themselves. I mean, they are getting older. And I was watching this documentary, I think it was called Let's All Make Believe, and it was these different clips of Oasis from the early 2000s. And Liam was just saying, at that time, we need to reestablish ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what they had to do. So huge changes for Oasis from Be Here Now into Sotsog. I would say that one of the biggest changes would be that Guigsy and Bonehead left Oasis.
Lineup change. And then with that, also a couple of more big changes, Katie. So Alan McGee steps down from Creation Records. Yeah, that's right.
I think that was 99. And Creation Records ended. And Oasis decide to have their own record label, Big Brother Recording.
Yeah.
Which is a huge move for the band. Smart business move, I think, on Oasis's part. Now, if you go down the rabbit hole of how all of this works, record labels, distribution, rights, and publishing rights, it can get pretty complex and confusing.
Yes.
But I think for the Big Brothers records, it was their record label in the UK and Ireland. But in terms of international distribution, because I remember as a teen, I thought it was EMI, but it wasn't. It's Epic Records, if you remember that. But I think that got eaten up by Sony. Sony just took everything.
Yeah.
They're huge now. They've just I think they took over EMI as well. Anyway, so on an international level, I think it was Sony in terms of distributing Oasis, but it was the Big Brother record label. So that's a new change for Oasis in a lot of ways. Also, Owen Morris is gone. I'm not sure if that was Owen Morris wanting to move in a new artistic direction, Noel as well. I'm not sure what happened there, but that was a big change because Owen Morris was the producer for, I believe, all three of the first records.
He had a lot to do with their early work.
Yeah. So new lineup, new record label, new producer, new logo.
When we went to see Oasis at the reunion tour last summer, I thought it was really cool that some people actually had gear on with the old logo or the new old logo, whatever you want to call it. Because I just thought that was really cool because they did go back for the reunion tour to their orig.
They did. They went right back, to the 90s.
Yeah.
I guess for millennials, we really remember this era of Oasis. We were teenagers. I was in high school when Sotsog and Heathen Chem were released. So I remember this fondly. And I liked the new logo.
I did.
At the time. I thought, it was time for, as Liam said, reestablishing themselves. And I thought it was a cool new logo. It suited the vibe of the early 2000s. And it suited the vibe of the new Oasis. Of course, you can't beat the Ridge. And that did work really well with the reunion tour 25 years later. But I did like that new old logo that they used for a couple of records.
And this was a very interesting time, Sarah, to be an Oasis fan, because this is when it kind of slowly creeped in where it wasn't very cool to like Oasis, at least in my personal experience at school.
No, you are totally right.
Yeah.
That started to creep in with Be Here Now, but I found for Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, again, I was kind of made fun of in high school for liking Standing on the Shoulder of Giants and just liking Oasis in general.
Yeah.
They were just kind of, I don't know, old news.
Old news, music your parents listened to that wasn't cool. I
really selling it, Katie.
Yeah, I know. I loved it. But I also remember, so I would have been in grade 7 when this came out, 12, almost 13.
Yeah.
And for me, Sarah, this is when like Limp Bizkit was just huge at school.
Yeah.
That Linkin Park was almost, actually, I don't know if they were around yet, but Limp Bizkit really made the rap metal cool.
Yes, that new metal. Korn.
Korn was big.
And I mean, they did play with a lot of different genres. Limp Bizkit, Korn, they did very well for themselves. I was not a fan of that, but you're right. That was huge. And like still the cheesy pop was big. I mean,
that was dominating. I mean, not Oasis. Backstreet Boys had the album Millennium come out.
Oh, that's right.
And that just dominated the charts.
That was huge. So those were like the two areas of what was popular. Eminem
was getting. I just remember vividly being in elementary. Much music was still very big. People were still really watching music videos.
Yep. No,
I just remember Eminem, Limp Bizkit, Korn, like you said, those were just dominating the charts.
Those were huge, and that was the rock. Yeah. That was the cool rock bands.
Those were the cool rock bands. So you had Pearl Jam came out with Binaural, Oasis, Sotsog, Smashing Pumpkins, Machine of the Machines of God. These big bands from the 90s were coming out with albums. They just weren't doing that well commercially.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that with Oasis, and you make a really good point with the Pumpkins and Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
These bands where it's so it must be very difficult for a band because they were fully established at this point.
Yeah.
So they were on different trajectories from like Limp Bizkit, who were just still kind of new and fresh and proving themselves.
Yeah.
They were past that point. So they have a fan base, and yet trying to you're kind of competing with those bands, but in a way you're not, because you're also like the parents' bands that you like. Very interesting time of trying to fit into all of that. Like you're not competing with them because you're established, but you kind of are to get into the charts. I don't know, to navigate that, but just a very interesting time, especially for rock music.
What I also find interesting too, Sarah, is looking back, I felt like these bands were old, like actually old in age, but they weren't.
No.
Noel Gallagher was early 30s.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So Billy Corgan, so they still had so much in them to give, like so much life in them.
Yes, and when you get into your 30s, you realize you're like, oh, that's actually not that old.
It's actually very young.
So, and you're right, Liam, I don't think he's even 30 for Sotsog.
Yeah.
So you're right, still so much in you, and you're still hot young, and you're doing your thing, developing your artistic kind of path. Yeah. A very strange time for all of that.
It is. And these bands were such, Pearl Jam, they were such powerhouses, obviously Oasis, who we're talking about. So it was just crazy to think they were so big in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Then comes 2000. And I remember people making fun of you for liking Oasis.
Yeah. Oh, all throughout high school.
People totally ripped me apart for liking Oasis.
Oh, I was, as you meant,
jokes on you guys. They came out with a reunion tour and they were like blew up the world.
Everybody wanted to go.
Yeah.
And with that, it just got me thinking of this documentary where Liam said they needed to reestablish themselves. Noel said, you have the biggest album in rock in the 90s, what do you do?
Where do you go from here?
Where do you go from here? So I don't want to say an identity crisis. That I don't want to sound, that's a bit maybe dramatic.
I'm sure for some of them.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So, well, and the year 2000, you have Kid A. That's a big one too. Talking about identity crisis, right?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking also in 1999, Parachutes comes out.
Yeah.
With Coldplay, which kind of took over too, that softer guitar rock in the UK.
Creed kind of took over the alt rock scene.
Yeah, Creed
came out 99. Yeah. Human Clay.
So again, where do Oasis fit into all of this, right? Where do you go exactly? And Noel said that.
Go Let It Out.
That's great, Katie. Actually, with that, are we ready for Go Let It Out tidbits?
Let's go back to Go Let It Out.
Yeah,
let's go. We
kind of went off there,
we could do a full episode on the year 2000, Sarah. Let's go back to Go Let It Out.
Yes. Okay. Go Let It Out tidbits. Actually, before we start, we should officially welcome to the Oasis fam, Gem Archer and Andy Bell.
Welcome,
Gem and Andy.
I loved the addition of Gem and Andy.
Oh,
I was sad. Great. I was sad Bonehead and Gwigski left.
Of course, yeah. No, that was.
But you know what? Who better to be replaced by than Andy and Gem?
Yeah, I really liked Andy and Gem in Oasis. I think they just suited Oasis so well. It was funny because I guess someone asked Liam when Gwigsi and Bonehead left, and Liam's like, "They need to be taller than me and have good taste in shoes." Isn't that so random yet specific?
I read an article from The Guardian from the year 2000 where Noel said that they were they self-identified Gwigski and Bonehead as bad musicians.
Really?
He's like they were bad. Yeah. They were bad musicians, but they were self-proclaimed. I'm not quoting Noel word for word, but that's basically what he said, which I thought kind of a burn to them. But like now, Bonehead was on their huge reunion tour, so is he that bad? No. Yeah.
Well, I have heard that Andy Bell is a better bass player than Gwigsi.
Is he?
What he was able to do with the songs. I'm not a musician, and I mean, I'll always have a soft spot for Bonehead and Gwigsi, but Bonehead had like 25 years to practice, Katie, for the reunion tour.
That's a good point.
So maybe he brought his A game. He's like, oh, I'm up there with the Gallagher brothers, Gem and Andy. I better do it. All right, Go Let It Out. Go Let It Out was released February 7th, 2000. And this was a while since we had new material from Oasis. Yeah. All Around the World was released January 98, which actually wasn't new material because that was on Be Here Now. Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
There was the master plan in 98, but that was just B-sides. Yeah. So this, as we all know, is the first single from their fourth studio album, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, released February 28th, 2000.
Okay.
So this is just a little bit of a tease for that. Go Let It Out did go to number 1 in the UK, and it debuted at number 1. So this is Oasis's 5th number 1 in the UK.
Good for them.
Not too bad.
No.
It sold about 200,000 copies in its first week.
Whew, that's pretty good.
Yeah, people were ready, I guess. Yeah. They wanted some new Oasis. I did feel like Go Let It Out was big in Canada, but we've said this before where I'm like, was it big in Canada or just in our house?
No. But I remember
it was big. So it did on the Canadian singles chart. It went to number 1.
Yeah,
Go Let It Out.
I remember.
Yeah, it was played a lot on the radio, on Much Music.
Much More Music. If anyone remembers that.
That's right. Yeah. For your parents.
Yeah.
It did not chart at all on the Billboard Top 100. So, I mean, Oasis did break America. I will give them that. They are one of the British bands that did that. But I don't know. I think they had a bit more staying power in Canada. Hence, going, right? It went to number 1.
Numbers have shown that Canadians really liked Oasis.
Yeah. As we mentioned, this was not produced by Owen Morris. This was produced by Mark Stent and Noel. And I looked up Mark Stent. He's a pretty big producer. He's worked with a lot of pretty big names.
Okay.
And I think he continues working with Oasis. I believe he produces all of Sotsog. So with the departure of Bonehead and Gwigsi, I think they left quite early with the recordings of Sotsog. So Go Let It Out is just Liam, Noel, and Alan White.
Okay.
So Noel plays all the guitars and the bass. And obviously Liam sings and Alan plays the drums. The cover of the single, do you remember that? It's the guys playing soccer on the roof.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. I don't know if that is I don't know if in the States they got that cover. I believe if you're listening in from the UK, that was the cover you had.
Yes, I vividly remember that cover.
Yeah. I didn't know this, but so the rooftop of the guys playing soccer or football, I guess, is on the Standing on the Shoulder of Giants cover.
Oh, cool.
If you look at Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, it's in there.
Oh, cool.
I did not know that.
No, I didn't
know
that.
So if you look
either.
at it, you'll be like, oh, that's the cover of Go Let It Out. So a bit of a connection. We broke up with our photographer boyfriend, Katie.
Such a new era. A lot of breakups.
Yeah.
Breakups and new relationships.
Yeah, we did gain 2 new long-term boyfriends with Gam and Andy. So the cover art's designed by Noel. I guess Noel and Simon Halfon, who is a graphic designer. Now, he worked with Paul Weller and The Jam, so I guess that's probably the connection with Oasis.
There, for sure.
Although I will say the actual photo for Sotsog, like the city scene with the skyscrapers, is by photographer Andrew McPherson. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing any of these names. So I guess Noel and Simon, imposed that rooftop onto that photo.
Okay.
Maybe they had Photoshop in 2000. I'm not sure, but I thought that was kind of neat. I didn't know that, a little tidbit. A review from NME. And this kind of stems from what we were talking about with where do Oasis fit in all of this. This is reviewed by David Stubbs. So he says, a so-so single from the upcoming So-So album.
Yikes.
If you were going to build an Oasis single from a do-it-yourself home kit, this is probably what it would sound like. There's the typically vague exhortation of the song title, Let What Out Where, the Beatles' mimicry, and Liam sounding like he's about to break out into I'd like to teach the world to sing. We're the keepers of their destiny, writes Noel, but ironically, just as their beloved Man City are rising, I guess they were doing well that season, Oasis themselves are fading from significance. They serve no real purpose other than as one of rock music's last remaining common talking points. Kind of a burn.
I think that's very harsh.
It is.
Unnecessarily harsh, if you want my honest opinion.
Yeah, no, I thought so as well. So my take on this is, I know he talks about the vagueness of Go Let It Out. I think that's the whole point of Go Let It Out. The ambiguity in it. Yeah. Your personal interpretation of what you want that to mean.
Yeah.
And that's classic kind of Noel Gallagher, your personal interpretation.
Yeah.
And the feeling behind that. So you'll feel a certain way with Go Let It Out based on how you interpret it. So I think that's meant to be there. But Katie and I have talked about the top 40 list of Rolling Stone to celebrate the reunion of Oasis back in 2024. Rolling Stone magazine counted down their top 40 Oasis songs. Go Let It Out does make it in at number 39.
So just above All Around the World.
That's right. All Around the World is number 40. And they say Oasis charged into the new millennium with a big man with a fork in a world of soup energy.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay.
The Britpop empire was in decline. Electronic rock was on the rise. And Go Let It Out was the sound of the Gallaghers raging against the dying of the 90s light. The big man with the fork in a world of soup energy, I suppose, like we were talking about new metal and pop and where do Oasis fit in within just popular music and within the rock genre. I can see that. And I'm saying this, I would have been 14 when Go Let It Out was released. I thought it was fresh sounding, to be honest. I really liked it. So I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
All right. So there is the Time Flies documentary. Noel talks about different songs, and he does, of course, talk about Sotsog and Go Let It Out. And he just says about Standing on the Shoulder, some good moments on the album. He highlights Effing in the Bushes and Go Let It Out are great. I remember really struggling. around trying to find songs. He wrote, so I guess he wrote all 3 albums, the first 3 albums, before they had a record deal. I didn't know that.
Oh.
And so he was saying he had to write, quote, right from scratch. I didn't have anything. And then he says the production is brilliant on this. And so I guess he wrote Sot Sog, which is interesting because a lot of Sot Sog is very reflective. And so he's writing this as a famous person now.
Yeah.
As opposed to the first 3 where I guess
he's kind of a nobody.
A complete nobody. Yeah. So that was interesting. There was a short that came up on my YouTube of Noel talking about Go Let It Out. It looks like he's in a stadium. Not sure where exactly this is from. He looks quite young, so this is from a while ago. And he says about Go Let It Out, it's a tiny little bit about how in England we're quite fascinated why famous people and rich people act like absolute knobheads 24 hours of the day. I wasn't expecting him to say knobheads, but then I'm like, yeah, I see where he's coming from.
That was kind of big in the 2000s, though, calling someone a knob.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe that's just it. And we're facilitated by that, and we put them on the front cover of newspapers, and that's basically saying, well, is it any wonder why people act like that? I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see that with how he says, like, we're the keepers of their destiny. It was interesting, though, with this comment, I connected with Noel on a human level when he says, oh, they act like knobheads. So I'm like, yeah, I totally get what you mean. And he's just saying that as a regular person. I mean, Noel Gallagher did grow up a mere commoner, right? Yeah. Like all of us.
Yeah.
But also on another flip side, I'm thinking, you're rich and famous now saying this. Yeah. It's just interesting. So I don't know if he's also commenting on himself a little bit.
I would think a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have always the best headlines in the news, right?
No. Yeah, exactly. So, maybe he's calling himself out a little bit as well.
Maybe he's calling Liam out a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And also kind of like, are we provoking this? And with social media, even famous people are like, oh, I want to get a lot of likes on this. So
and don't forget,
I have to do it a certain
Sarah,
way.
2000 is just the cusp of reality TV.
Ooh, yeah.
Which
that's a good point, Katie.
Really highlighted the whole being knobheads and the extravagance of being rich and famous.
Yep. And just us watching these, sorry, I keep saying knobheads, but just like famous rich people.
Watching these famous rich people but
just doing whatever.
Yeah.
Like sitting in their house.
Yeah.
And that got so big.
Oh, reality TV.
In the early reality TV. Like, what is real?
Yeah.
Right? No, you're right. That's a really good point.
The Osbournes and the Newlyweds were just around the corner. Yeah. Wasn't that just after 2000?
And you know what? They might have been out by this point and they were getting bigger. And maybe that's why he was saying that too. And he wrote Go Let It Out around this time. Right? So, yeah. There's another documentary. It's called Lock the Box. Not sure what it's from, but Noel and Liam are sitting together. They look quite young. So I would imagine this is from the early 2000s. And they talk a little bit about, of course, Sot Sog and Go Let It Out. And Noel just says, it's the closest we ever got to sounding like modern day Beatles, I think, which is what we've been striving for years and years. I was pretty uninspired at the time about writing music. And Go Let It Out stands heads and shoulders above anything else. And then they talk about this loop on Go Let It Out, because I know there's a loop or something from a movie or something.
Okay.
They mentioned Austin Powers. I think they just said that because that was the big movie at the time. I don't know if it's from that. So Noel and Liam banter a bit, but they mentioned that there's a demo out there somewhere of Go Let It Out. And the interviewer's like, oh, that's really cool. Where is it?
Yeah.
And then it's just funny. Liam mentions that the demo was somewhere in his house and he says it's hidden between a sliced apple. And he just goes like this. And I just thought that was pretty funny. Katie's like, no.
Oh, no. I'm sure it's funny.
Well, did you see there's a tweet from Liam? I guess someone asked him, yeah, you have to watch it, right, too, his expression.
Yeah.
There's a tweet and someone asked Liam about, oh, what do you wear around the house or something? And then he just says, like, I wake up and I put my parka on right away.
Oh, Liam is a riot on X.
Well, it's just funny. So he says he puts his parka on, which is cute, and he walks around the house in his parka. And he makes a point to also mention that he puts his socks on.
Oh.
So he's like, I put my socks and my parka on.
There's a vision.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask your opinion on this. There's a Reddit thread that someone put that Go Let It Out is the best post Morning Glory track. And do you like, I guess I kind of see why this person said that, but in terms of post Morning Glory, and I guess I'm thinking of the singles with our series, I automatically thought, Do You Know What I Mean? Or Stop Crying Your Heart Out, not necessarily Go Let It Out.
Yeah. Personally, it's a personal choice. I wouldn't put it as my favorite post Morning Glory track.
Yeah.
And over the last year with doing this podcast, I've been listening a lot more to later Oasis. Well, even the other day I was singing Bag It Up to You.
Yes, that's right.
And I'm growing to really love post 2000 Oasis lately.
Ooh,
so
Katie, going in deep there.
Going in deep. So I wouldn't think that, but I respect that. I do think Go Let It Out is a good track.
It is. It is a good track. And having said that, final tidbit, we are entering a new era of our Every Single Oasis Single series, Katie, because all these songs now we're going to talk about were not included in the reunion tour, except one. There is one coming up.
Hang on.
Yeah, stay tuned. So I'm like, we lost some of our material of what we talk about. So I mean, of course, there were tons of speculation about the set list. I thought they were going to include Go Let It Out.
They should have. I don't know why they didn't.
Yeah, I wish they did. Yeah. I think this would have been really great. And I think the crowd would have loved it.
I think the crowd would have loved Go Let It Out.
Any ages, like we all know Go Let It Out.
Yeah.
It's a good one. And I'd be curious, if Noel ever comes on the podcast, we'll have to add this to our questions.
Yeah.
He says, it's great. Like, I wonder what his thoughts on Go Let It Out are now. Like, do you still find it great? Do you think it's one of the best?
Well, even
like it's not included on the set list.
No,
so.
even with Be Here Now, I find it interesting because for a while he was just like, it's a terrible album. Blah, 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 blah.
Be Here Now, yeah.
Be Here Now. But then it was so interesting when I watched that 2016, or what I assume is 2016 clip of him talking, where he actually acknowledges it's not a bad album. The songs are good. They were just too long and they should have been a little bit more tightened up. So I think that's interesting.
Very interesting. Well, he kind of had time to think about it.
Yeah.
The track list. So again, we lose material for our episode because we now have 2 instead of 3 B-sides. Quickly looked it up. I guess, I don't know, the company that owns the UK singles chart in 98 placed restrictions on singles in the UK. So the requirement, the maximum number of tracks you could put on a single went from 4 down to 3.
Which I didn't know that until you told me that the other day.
Yeah.
I just thought, Oasis are like, you know what, screw it. We're just going to do 3 songs now instead of 4.
Well, when you mentioned that, I was like, that's true. Yeah, no, they had to do that. And the maximum playing time is now 20 minutes.
Oh, wow. There was actually like a set time on. Wow.
Well, they claimed that this was to standardize the format, so the CDs and the cassettes.
Okay.
And also apparently to help with the price so that, I guess it's the record labels, can't inflate the price so much. We have all these songs on this single and they're a 10-minute song on something, so we can charge an extra, I don't know,
what was
2,
all around
3
the world?
pounds.
9 minute, 38 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking 1998, we're entering the height of buying CDs. 99 to 2001, and it's probably us all millennials. Now we're preteens buying all this stuff. So they brought this up because...
Again, though, such an interesting time, Sarah, because it was the height of buying CDs, but the introduction of Napster.
Well, I was thinking about...
Like, what a contrast.
I remember downloading Yellow. It took about 3 days because we had dial-up. But I was like, this
Crazy
was
Town
the
Butterfly.
Did we get that one?
I downloaded it. I had it on repeat.
Oh, yeah. That's a classic. So the track list for Go Let It Out, obviously Go Let It Out is number 1. Number 2, I feel like we should do a drum roll for this one. Let's All Make Believe.
Such a good B-side.
Oh my gosh.
I've always loved that song.
What an amazing song.
Yeah.
Last summer, Katie and I counted down our top 10 favorite Oasis songs. listening to this a few times this week, I was like, oh, I should have added this to my top 10 favorite Oasis songs.
That is such a good song. It really gets you.
Oh my gosh. It's like dark, something's coming.
Yeah.
I don't know. Liam sounds great. A little tidbit for this one. Q Magazine placed Let's All Make Believe at number 1 on its list of 500 best lost tracks.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure when this was, maybe 2006. So they said about this, if Standing on the Shoulder of Giants had contained this track, it would have probably got another star. They gave Sot Sog 4 stars.
Oh,
4 out of 5. So they are saying if this was added, we would have given it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I listened to Standing on the Shoulder a few times this week, and it's a good album. I don't know.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Even keeping it, I Can See a Liar, Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is, Little James. It's good. It's got a nice flow, but Let's All Make Believe. I think if they added that at the end after Roll It Over, that would have really worked. So number 3 is As Long as They've Got Cigarettes in Hell. I like that title.
I always like that song.
Yeah, it's good, actually. Yeah, I forgot how much I liked it. Reflective. I put darkly humorous.
Yes, it is. It is humorous.
Isn't it? And Noel's getting a bit older, thinking about, I guess, different things. He's entering his 30s. He may be a father at this point.
Or expecting, at least.
Expecting, yeah. It's just funny. There was a YouTuber, and he just walked around the merchandise store for Oasis in London when they had that when they played Wembley. And he's like, hey, I'm just going to walk around the store and show you all. And of course I watched it. It was interesting.
Yeah.
And this was the song playing in the background.
Oh, funny.
And
I'm
like, this really suits the vibe of the store.
Yeah.
Obviously they played all Oasis, but this song in particular, I was like, I forgot about this little gem. It's a good one. Kind of like, and I guess this is in Go Let It Out, Let's All Make Believe, and Cigarettes in Hell. Kind of sarcastic.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of subtle sarcasm and wit there. Okay. It's good. I like those 2 B-sides. I think they did a great job. Yeah.
Yeah.
The music video, Go Let It Out. It's been like forever since I've watched this video.
Oh, man. So. I watched it the other day. I think, Sarah, it's been at least 2 decades since I've sat down and watched Go Let It Out. I've watched Wonderwall, Don't Let It Anger.
Yeah.
But Go Let It Out, it was good.
Yeah, it's a good video.
It's a very good video. I like Liam on the bus with random shots of people. Then he walks through that field to this funny little garden party. I don't know what you want to call it.
Oh, garden party. I like that. So Noel said that the stage was supposed to look like a spaceship.
Didn't get that.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
I got like a winery, like band type thing. I don't know.
Oh, a winery. Yeah, like they're outside.
Yeah.
It's nice views of. Yeah. I would imagine they're in England.
Somewhere, yeah.
This was big because it was Gem's kind of official introduction. I don't know why Andy's not in it. I thought Andy and Gem came at around the same time. Maybe Gem came into Oasis a bit earlier.
Okay.
But that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? Seeing Gem.
Yeah.
This was an interesting video. I never noticed this as a kid, that Noel's playing the bass and then Gem's on like the main guitar and Liam's playing guitar. Eh?
I was going to mention that, Sarah. It's funny. I never really noticed as a kid Liam playing guitar.
Yes.
But watching it as an adult, 26 years after this video was made and debuted, I thought that was kind of a big deal because Liam never, I don't think ever in a video he played other than a tambourine or any instrument.
Yeah, exactly. So a new era for Oasis because there's a couple other videos where Liam plays the guitar.
I just think of Songbird.
Songbird, yeah. Stay tuned. Yeah, so that was a big deal. Yeah. I just, as an adult watching this, like he walks and puts money on the Queen.
Yeah, I feel like there must be some sort of symbolism for that.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if
he kind of like touches her mouth.
He touches her mouth with,
I'm sure, some political,
with the money.
Yeah, some political statement.
So I was like, maybe, like you have to, like maybe a comment on colonialism a bit, and like
and they're not big fans of the royalty, their Irish roots, and
like just comment where you have to pay to enter the land.
Yeah.
I don't know. That just really stuck out for me.
I noticed that too.
I didn't really think about that as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good video. I thought it was very well done.
Very well done video.
They look great. I really enjoyed it. And I just remember we're entering the era of Oasis where I really remember when all of this came out, right?
Yeah.
We're in our teens now, or you're not yet a teen.
12.
But this was one on Much Music, which is basically Canada's MTV back in the day. This was the one they were like, after these commercials, the brand new Oasis.
It was a very big deal.
Yeah, music video. And you're just like, oh my God. Like totally glued to the TV, so excited because it's been a while since we saw a new Oasis video. So I just fondly remember this was that video. It was really exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Oasis, Go Let It Out, Sarah, for me, it falls under the category of I didn't really like it when it first came out and as a kid.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hate it. I just didn't really like it. And I've never, over the years, just put it on randomly while driving or anything.
It's not one of your go-tos.
It wasn't. Now, listening to it as an adult, I really like this song. It's a really good song.
It is. At the beginning, I forgot when he says like 1, 2, 3, 4. He counts it in, and then he says something about and the bass.
Hit the bass,
or something.
And the bass line's really good in the song.
It is.
And then the horns or flutes or whatever, like
and then the build up, and then Liam just starts shouting.
I really like the end when he sings it in like a different key, and it's just like go let it out.
Yeah, no, it's a very well done song.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I mean, underrated. I think this era was for Oasis.
I think everything after Morning Glory is underrated.
Yeah.
Listening back to these albums, you mentioned, Sarah, you listened to Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. I didn't listen to it in its entirety, but I listened to like half of it the other day in the car. And just a underrated album. I really can't say much more about it.
Yeah, it just starts off so strong with Epping in the Bushes, Go Let It Out, and then...
I even like the ending of Roll It Over. Kind of this
a good
therapeutic,
song.
Reflecting on yourself song.
I think somebody in the comments mentioned to close the reunion, they should have done. This person thought it would have been cool to have Roll It Over, and I'm like, I don't think they would ever do that. But I was like,
that's like me with Fading Out.
Cool. Yeah,
maybe one day.
Yeah. But I was like, yeah, that would have been kind of a cool.
That's
closer.
a cool song to suggest closing out.
It is.
With the fireworks.
Gas Panic.
Gas Panic's a good song.
I mentioned this before. There's on Jules Holland, like obviously.
You were gonna say the clip of the person who's like, "Why did you play Gas Panic on the tour?"
Oh yeah, that too. Well, actually, I thought of that clip when I listened to Gas Panic a couple times this week. I'm like, oh, this is actually a really good song.
Oh, those are really good songs.
So yeah, no, like
I even liked it as a child. I remember thinking it was a cool song.
Yeah, it is a cool song. It's definitely got a vibe to it. I lost my train of thought.
Jules Holland.
Oh, Jules Holland. So this is to promote Song. So they play Where Did It All Go Wrong? Gas Panic. It's just really well done because you don't hear those songs a lot.
No.
And this was actually, you know what? I have a special connection with Song because this was my first Oasis concert.
Yep.
And
Maple Leaf
Gardens in Toronto, and my first concert.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
You wear that oversized John Lennon shirt?
Not to this. I wore the oversized striped button-up sweater, Katie. It was chilly.
It was chilly. Because you went in the winter.
Should have kept that.
Yeah.
Anyway. So there you have it. Go Let It Out. A new era for Oasis. Katie, I can't believe we're on Standing on the Shoulder of Giants.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. The year's just flying by.
The year is flying by, and we said we are going to do every Oasis single. We are going to do it. So join us on this new kind of chapter for Oasis. It's going to be fun, and I'm super curious what we're going to talk about on these later singles. But
I know.
We'll think of something.
Stay tuned.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one.